he seems so nice and normal and anti-mob boss. I think that's the most terrifying thing potentially about him is that he just seems like a regular dad for the most part.
I think the reason maybe why you feel that way is because I think that world, those guys
Mhm.
are everything I do is for the betterment of my girls. Don't you know that? Don't you trust me? Hey,
Uh,
Jim.
hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi, Jim.
Excited to
Great.
talk to you. I'm still thinking about this film. I mean, what a
Wow.
it surprised me in the best way possible. I think that's the best sort of thing I could say is when a movie really takes you and grips you and you're like thinking about it still the days after.
That's
Thank you. I
fantastic.
appreciate that.
Absolutely. Dom, you know what? I'm going to start with you. I've seen you in plenty of roles playing tough guys and, in this sort of world. But, the thing about Joe is that he seems so nice and normal and anti-mob boss. I think that's the most terrifying thing potentially about him is that he just seems like a regular dad for the most part.
I think the reason maybe why you feel that way is because I think that world, those guys
Hmm.
are characterized and glamorified in a different way. And I think that speaks to Jennifer's experience or to maybe how true these guys are.
Yeah.
Most of these guys you probably wouldn't know who they are, and I think that's why that's so surprising.
Yeah, that's well said. That's so true when you think about it. They are actually normal people, and you don't want to advertise what you are, that sort of thing. But you also made it come to life in that way too, that it presented that way. And it stood out too. It's maybe it's a commentary and sort of how we portray certain characters of that ilk, on screen too. And when we see him kind of done humanized in a way, it comes off differently.
Well, it was important. It was important to play the father role first,
Hmm.
and but it was on the page, and I think Jennifer purposely. Yeah, I think you needed to have Joe be that way in order to get the effect from from his daughters and his family. How easy it is for them to be naive to what their father really is. To some people he's a monster. To some people that he's their best friend. Some people he's a business partner. To them, that's their father, and that's a tough pill for them to swallow when they really find out what he's about. And it was important to showcase that side of him more so than the gangster.
Hmm. Well
I think
said.
that was the selling point for Joe.
Annabella, I feel like Christine is the glue of everything. She kind of holds things down in moments of crisis and whatnot. I mean, this woman seems to have been through enough herself, and you just really played that well too. What was your sort of approach to Christine? Because I felt like she's kind of the really the glue of everything in a lot of ways.
Wow. That's really interesting. That's very interesting. I haven't seen the whole film yet. Um, I think she has been through a lot, and I think as the film goes on, she learns more and more about what this world is that she's living in. Um, and she has a deep love for her sister and her nieces. And even Joe. I mean, we had a great time shooting like the family scenes. It was they're family people and they have fun together. And then it just gets to a point where without giving anything away, she can't accept it anymore. And so it's a painful thing to have to step away, and she made that big decision and tries to inform her niece
Hmm.
that she should do the same thing.
as I wrap here, I'm going to ask you guys individually about working with Jennifer here, because not only is she directing and writing, but she's sharing some pretty intimate and important scenes with each of you individually. I'm going to start with you, Annabella. Tell me, what was it like? You shared a lot of scenes with Jennifer. She was so present too in a moment. I'm just thinking, like, how is she directing and also like playing this character who's holding everything in? What was that like? Your experience, not only her as a director, but
Oh, it's
working.
really fascinating. It was
Yeah.
so fascinating to watch because yes, I saw her go from, talking to the DP and the camera and the shot and looking at it and like, okay, and then talking to the actors and, talking to Emily or Odessa or all of us, and then shifting into, an action. But she'd go away, she'd go turn away, and then she would come back and she would be in the scene because you can't watch it and be in it at the same time. So
Mhm.
it's a huge job. It's a huge job.
Yeah. Wow, it's kind of unbelievable when you think about it. Once you realize that. Dom, what about you? You had some interesting scenes too, because she's like, you kind of almost polar opposites in a way, but her character's trying to make it work. Those scenes were really interesting too. The tension there. Tell me about those scenes that you shared with Jennifer.
I think those scenes were important with Jennifer because there's nothing normal about this
Mhm.
thing. There's nothing normal about anybody who's in that world. And so those scenes are a true representation of what the dark side is. So when we were able to play those scenes, you know, never fun yelling at a woman on camera, let alone in real life, right? So obviously those are the ones that kind of stick with you.
Yeah.
Um uh it was interesting. I think what Jennifer did,
Yeah.
especially in those scenes, was play to every color possible, to not one dimensionalize anything.
Mhm.
And yeah, so, and obviously communicating with her about all these things. I think me and her were always on the same page,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Fantastic work, guys. Really good. Been a big fan of both of you for a long time, but good to see you finally on screen together. And great film.
Thank you so much.
Jim,
Hey,
Thanks for
thank you.
your time.
Thank you.
take
Thank
care.
you.
All right, Jim.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. So sweet.